Okay, testing. Right, okay, there's a bit of a technical hiccup there, but hopefully this works just fine. All right, let's see if this is working all right. All right. Yep, I'd say it's working just fine.
Dearie? Just working fine, dearie. Welcome to the live stream, dearie. Come up to me, snuggle in, grab your nice cup of tea.
No, wait, no, I need to do it the Hebridean way.
Cup of tea.
Oh, Angus. Welcome, everybody. And our first comment is from Christian RPG Gamers, the very man himself. You will succeed with God's help in everything you do today, friend. Amen. Glory to the Most High. Yeah, I've learned to count your provisions, count your blessings. Especially learning about provisions today because there's this charity that which our sponsors called, sponsors? No, sorry. Sponsors? Well, I suppose giving to charity counts as sponsoring, right? Advertises, right. Majority advertises this charity called the Shoebox Appeal. I guess this is my chance to do a shout out, I guess. The Shoebox Appeal is this charity where every Christmas people grab these shoe boxes and select someone to give gifts to in a certain demographic of group, whether like a older man, young boy, older woman, young girl, that kind of thing. And then they would wrap up the shoebox filled with all these gifts, essentials for survival, and send it to Romania and Eastern Europe. And they're very grateful for those deliveries. Yep. So yeah, I just thought I'd give that out. Anyway, welcome to the live stream, everybody. It's been a while since I did one of these, but this is going to be a very interesting live stream with the fact that there's various very fascinating topics to discuss, not to mention the chance to chat with you guys. That's always fun. We always have such fun together. Anyway, it's important to drink your water. Because something I've learned, I probably said this before, but I might as well repeat it here. Hello, Christian RPG Games. It's important to drink your water. It's not just to quench your thirst. It's also to fill you with energy and to flush out the toxins. Water's the stuff of life. And of course, Christ is the living water. I should probably spare some of this just in case I get thirsty later on. That should be enough for now. Yeah, drink life. Drink life, man. Drink life. Anyway, let's get started with the main topics. So, on today's live stream, I've got several fascinating stories. I'm going to unpackage. I've already unboxed it. This SonicxShadow Generations Day 1 edition unpackaging, the physical copy, as you can clearly see. I'll be talking about the ridiculously stupid, wicked poster controversy, which really shouldn't exist in the first place. I'll be talking about how, in the end, there can only be one blade. And as well as addressing some critiques I've noticed about the game I've been playing, A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, and something I've observed about the game, which I think I'd like to bring up, as well as perhaps if we have spare time, I could tell you this fascinating story about my recent trip to Glasgow. But anyway, let's get started. I'm missing a pair of scissors. The 10 gigabytes on disk, 20 gigabytes down. You noticed that? It says, I didn't even reveal the thing. It says 25 gigabytes minimum. 10 gigabytes on the disk. Do you have the game too? Is that something you noticed? It's funny how this works. I guess maybe it's making room for like DLC or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna get myself a pair of scissors and get started. Right, here are the scissors. I've had these for as long as I can remember, actually. All right, let's open up with this. So, many of you know that I'm a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, despite no, it's a joke, but maybe true. Fair enough, yeah. Yeah. So, many of you know that I'm a big fan of the Sonic series. For the longest time, I've been a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I grew up playing a lot of Mario and Sonic, and you'll notice that even to this day, I've dedicated several videos on this channel to this franchise. I've been playing Sonic Frontiers, I've been playing Sonic Lost World, even playing the classic Sonic games, even played Sonic Superstars via live streaming in the past. Despite intrusive thoughts, I still really like the series. I noticed that this game here is going to combine a lot of fan service, and the fact that just by looking at this box art, it's reminding me of two of my personal favorite Sonic the Hedgehog games. I really like Sonic Generations. The gameplay for Sonic Generations was really smooth. The level design was really well done, and the overall atmosphere of Sonic Generations was that of just pure joy, like going to a theme park. Like I go, I remember this, I remember that. The fun rides. Just pure good time all around. And now they're making a remaster of the game, except this time they have got Shadow the Hedgehog involved. No, the title is not a shipping thing. I actually remember watching the Sonic short series. Gosh, that brings me back. There was this one short where Sonic and Shadow are looking at fan art online, and Sonic's laughing at something ridiculous about Shadow online, and Shadow's like, says something along the lines of, "Hey, I don't do that sometimes." And then Shadow insists, "Why don't you look at the two of us fighting to the death?" And that kind of fan art. And then Sonic's like, "Okay, Sonic and Shadow." And then you don't see what's on screen. You just see the two of them go, Is that my fan art can be creepy. Another thing that this cover reminds me of is, especially given the fact that this specifically advertises Gerald Robotnik's journal, it's reminding me of my all-time favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game, which in turn happens to be one of my all-time favorite video games, period, despite its flaws. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That's the game that really introduced Shadow the Hedgehog, as well as give a satisfying story for him within the context of the game. And this game, Sonic Adventure 2, is going to be adapted in the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 3 live-action movie, by the way. The story about this new character who poses a legit challenge to Sonic, has the intent to destroy humanity, but due to a promise from his tragic past, he decides to save the day instead, and since Shadow's kept coming back, he always becomes the hero despite his anti-heroic tendencies because of his promise to Maria. So that's why he's, despite people making fun of him as being an edgelord character, he's still one of the most beloved characters of the franchise, just due to the fact that people were daring enough to have that kind of in-depth story for an otherwise simplistic franchise. I mean, I could mention other favorites. Like, I'm one of those people who actually counts his blessings with the supposed dark age of Sonic games. Like, come on, guys. There are games that are far worse than Sonic 06. Like, I've even tried Sonic Labyrinth. There are games that are worse than Sonic 06. Yeah, I know the game has a lot of plot holes, but to be fair, the game kind of erases itself with time paradox at the end. Although Sonic 06 did present one of the most imposing villains in the franchise, Mephiles the Dark. And when I saw trailers for this game, I was shocked to see Mephiles is back. So, yeah, this is not only fan service to Sonic fans, this is also fan service to Shadow the Hedgehog fans. Basically, what this is promising is that even throughout the dark age of Sonic games, people still latched onto those games because it gave further character development for Shadow the Hedgehog. Even if Shadow's own title game had a lot of elements of trying to be dark and edgy just for the sake of it, rather than letting it flow naturally in the story. hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes there, because they're bringing back crucial clot elements. Not clot. No, people will die. Crucial plot elements from the Shadow the Hedgehog game. So, for those of you familiar with Shadow the Hedgehog's character, this is going to, given the fact that it's a time travel premise, this is going to cover all of Shadow's past adventures as well as all of Sonic's past adventures. So with Shadow the Hedgehog, it's going to cover his debut in Sonic Adventure 2, and then presumably, Sonic Heroes when he comes back. The Shadow the Hedgehog game, because the main antagonist of Shadow's campaign is Black Doom from his own game, because Shadow is actually partially made from the Black Doom alien DNA. So there's a kind of a link there. But what was intended for evil can turn out for good, so Shadow ends up saving humanity, and the canonical ending for the Shadow the Hedgehog game is the one where Shadow saves humanity, so Shadow is still a hero. There was also the Sonic 06 game where Shadow confronts Mephiles, who further challenges his relation to the past. And there's probably going to be a few others in there. So Gerald Robotnik made an appearance in Sonic Adventure 2, as well as in the Shadow the Hedgehog game, because that delves so much into Shadow's past. And I noticed that there was these really awesome animated shorts called Dark Beginnings, really cool animation style. And this game is going to be an emotional roller coaster ride, because it's not afraid to address like certain plot elements from the Shadow the Hedgehog game, as well as going in deep with how much Maria meant to Shadow. Been showing a bit of vulnerability to Shadow, from what I can see. So anyway, enough delays. We're just going to open this now. Right, nice. So this is the day one edition. I don't know if there's going to be any physical copies that are not the day one edition, but that's what I pre-ordered in advance. And if there's this thing where if you pre-order video games, then you're going to get these special bonuses. I think that's easier with the digital, but I've noticed, I was pleasantly surprised to see that with Stellar Blade, I pre-ordered the physical copy of that, and I still got the pre-order bonuses in that game. So this is the pre-ordered physical copy, and it includes a physical Gerald Robotics journal. So let's open up and see. It also seems to have a reversible cover sheet. It says newly remastered and enhanced, new bonuses, collectibles, and more. So apparently it's going to have Sonic Generations, but with more bonuses, collectibles that from last time. So that's going to be really cool for people who've already played Sonic Generations. I respect you for going physical copy over digital. Yeah. Although, something to note, my friend Jarf, Orthodox Christian, by the way, an aspiring musician, has informed me that physical media was never really in threat of dying. It's just going through a resurgence, especially given, and from what I've seen from other YouTubers, especially like this one called Endymion TV, Ubisoft got a lot of flack for saying, you'll get used to not owning any of our games. But then ironically, their marketing and the way they made their games was so utterly terrible that in an ironic sense, people were getting used to not owning any of their games. Joke's on them. So anyway, the back cover here also says the top half was for the Sonic campaign, but then of course you get Shadow's campaign and how Shadow's so conflicted inside, but still chooses to save humanity in the end. Unleash new Doom powers. So while Sonic has his... it's kind of interesting. The Sonic franchise has both friendly aliens and evil aliens. With Sonic, he's encountered friendly aliens, the Wisps, that gave him these brief Mario-style power-ups, and they were a really fun gimmick throughout Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations and Sonic Lost World. With Shadow, though, he's got the new Doom powers. So these are new powers for this game, which never made an appearance in the Shadow the Hedgehog series, probably to do with the fact that Shadow has alien DNA. So in the advertising, Shadow said, I'll use this power for my own gain. Like, it's typical for Shadow to say something like, I define my own destiny. But the way he says, I'll use this power for my own way, it reminds me of the Bible verse that what was intended for evil can be brought about for good. So yes, a new story campaign featuring Shadow. I've heard that the 3D hub area for Shadow is going to be similar to Sonic Frontiers. Anyway, we're actually opening it this time. Okay. So, So what have we got here? So we got the disc. You spin me right round, baby, right round like a record, baby, right round, round, round. You spin me right round, baby, right round like a record, baby, right round, round, round. Anyway, so I've noticed there's several leaflets here. Ooh, hello there. All right, so there was an advertisement for the Sonic Adventure Legacy skin. I am deliberately putting my thumb over that thing in case you people sneakily steal this from me. This is Sonic's more 3D, like very like primitive 3D rendered skin from like the first Sonic Adventure game. So that's going to appeal to people's nostalgia. Apparently, there's also there's going to be a skin for Shadow where he has a skin of his original conceptual art design where he just looked like a hilariously edgy gray character. Yeah, here we go. That skin. But anyway, I opened this up and I was just behind this leaflet. I was greeted with this leaflet, and rightly so. The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie coming up with Shadow the Hedgehog portrayed by Keanu Reeves in the movie. And just on the back of here, I've noticed that there's the Digital Deluxe Edition, but I presume I get that with the game, right? Maybe so, maybe not. But anyway, upgrade to Digital Deluxe Edition includes the Terio skin. This was Shadow's original concept design. I mean, it's a little bit on the nose and silly. I can see why they went with Shadow's form, but Shadow's character design actually makes sense if you're paying attention to certain backdrop details of Sonic 3, which could imply that Gerald Robotnik was studying like the ancient past in order to come up with the ultimate life form. Additional level and skin for Shadow, releasing holiday 2024. Oh, a skin for Shadow. Oh, so this is for the holidays, right? So that would be for Christmas. Skill points, extra BGM pack, and digital art book and OST. All right. So, oh, is that what I think it is? No, it's not the instruction manual. No, I missed the instruction manuals. No, it's just a customer support book. No. All right. Little notes here. Right. Cool picture, I guess. So, opening this up, and here is Dr. Gerald Robotnik's journal. Gerald Robotnik is the grandfather of Dr. Eggman. And, okay, so this is the reversible cover, which has several pictures here. And the same Sonic and Shadow picture there. So let's see. The journal, property of Gerald R. Gerald Robotnik is the grand property of the Eggman Empire. No, that's not how you do it. Okay. The Eggman Empire. This is from my grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. He was the one who made the ultimate life form. And this is how Shadow repays me? Ha! To think this is the actual journal that Eggman read to motivate him to initiate the plot of Sonic Adventure 2 in the first place. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to read this out to you. Sonic fans, hold on to your butt cheeks, as Samuel L. Jackson would say. Speaking of Samuel L. Jackson, there's a story that I'd like to tell you later on about that. From Archival and Requisitions Department to CMD Abraham Tower, the military leader from the Shadow the Hedgehog game, who does make an appearance in this game, or at least appeared in the Dark Beginning third short film. Commander, your request for tangible evidence of the Ark incident 50 years ago produced very little results. Your predecessor was quite thorough in erasing the cover-up operation. However, Professor Gerald Robotnik's personal diary managed to survive. Ironically, we have Dr. Eggman to thank for finding it at all. This journal was recovered during the investigation of Dr. Eggman's stronghold following the latest incident with the Ark. Unfortunately, time and tragedy have not been kind to the journal. What you're holding now is all that remains of the original book. I'm afraid there is no way of recovering the missing pages, nor can I restore the damaged or redacted elements. It's a pity, as I would very much have liked to have a greater insight to Gerald and Maria's lives too. Regards, T. All right, so we have these pictures of Gerald Robotnik. It's kind of weird having to do this on the camera. Graduating, as well as is that baby Maria? I guess we'll find out. It says entry number 2. 42. I think that's what it says. I take great pride in my research and discoveries. Few men have labeled a genius in our time, but nothing compares to my pride in my boys, blank and blank. They both graduated. Could that have been Eggman as well? They both graduated summa cum laude. Summa cum laude? And in record time, no less. They'll have their doctorates in no time. It seems my passions for archaeology and robotics are split between them, but I guess that's what makes them chips off the old block. Oh, I cannot wait to see what boons they bring to the world. Entry number 162. I can't believe how much time has passed. It feels like yesterday I was celebrating my boy's homecoming, man. Becoming men, right. Becoming men. And now I'm a grandfather. Her name is blank, but it's obviously Maria. And she is perfect in every way. She brings a smile to everyone's face, and everyone falls in love with her the moment they lay eyes on her. If nothing else, she is my legacy. Everything I do this day forward, I do for her. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. Boom, boom, ba-da-da-da, boom, 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 doom. Look into your heart, ba-da-da-da-da, and you will find there's nothing there to hide. Anyway, this is confirming fan suspicion. Here we go. Entry number 170. This is definitely going to affirm what I was mentioning earlier. I deciphered the engravings of an ancient ring I found on a previous dig in the blank jungle. I think it's Angel Island jungle, and calculated the location of a fabled flying paradise. I went alone to verify my findings and was rewarded with the spectacle of an angelic island. Okay, maybe the blank, I got it wrong. The land was vast, lush, and hosted a number of biomes in close proximity to each other. I believe I could see an entire floating city at one point. Like the castle in the sky from Hayao Miyazaki? Most majestic of all was a shrine devoted to what appeared to be a massive emerald, I think. It says blank also. Could this be the legendary blank Master Emerald? I dared not approach or overstay my welcome. As much as I wanted to explore every inch of the island, I felt it was a sacred land. Just setting foot on its soil felt taboo. I don't know if any civilization remains. This land is vast and my stay was brief, but the majesty of that emerald and shrine will stay with me for the rest of my life. Entry number 185. I am about to embark on the most ambitious project of my life. The Earth's first orbital space colony will be the 9th wonder of the world. It will be a place of science, researching all manner of ways to improve our home below. Seeing as it is a vessel meant to preserve life amid the harshness of space, I have Christened, there we go. I have christened it the Ark. It shall be a vessel to pass on the value of life and peace to the next generation. And while most of the megastructure will be hidden within the best planetoid, I may have got a little self-indulgent on the design. Yeah, because it's deliberately shaped like his face with the pointy nose and the glasses. Imagine Elon Musk making something like that. The only real concern is the source of the finding. While the United Federation supports us, most of the financing is coming from blank. I presume it's GUN. That's the people who would later shut the whole thing down. I have no illusions about what they'll want. But I'm building the Ark to preserve life, not end it. While I have my concerns, I am a genius. So if I'm sure I'll figure something out when the time comes. Entry 389. Life and work aboard the Ark has been exciting and good for good and for ill. As a positive, we acquired one of the legendary blank for our research. They said to hold unlimited power, and preliminary tests suggest some effect on space-time bending reality to one's will. Imagine the possibilities. Sadly, blank is doing just that, but in all the wrong ways. Their desire for weapons research is becoming increasingly overt and decreasingly polyle? P-O-L-I-L-E? Increasingly polyle. Is that a word, or am I misreading that? Increasingly polish. What does that word say? Anyway, I used my clout to get in a direct line for the president to ask for him to investigate this, to intervene, and intervene. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to read this. He said he would, but then asked me for something equally obscene. He wanted me to discover a means for immortality. I aim to improve life, not pervert it. Everything gives way to entropy. Entropy, the second law of thermodynamics, which dictates that everything decays over time. Although, I've been enlightened by my friend Jarf to say that there's a lot of aspects of the second law of thermodynamics we don't even understand yet. Like the ability for things to sustain themselves, which further contributes to intelligent design. Anyway, let's see, entropy, where was I? Means to improve life, not pervert it. Everything gives way to entropy. The concept is laughable, as intangible as a shadow. I refused anything outright. In retrospect, perhaps I could have been more diplomatic about it. I find myself on edge. Political pressures aside, I'm told blank is sick, Maria was sick, with no clear diagnosis. I wish I could work into it myself, but I'm needed aboard the Ark. Hopefully this will pass and she'll recover soon. She is too precious to be left to suffer. And then you get this page here, apparently. This is giving me some Journal 3 vibes from Gravity Falls. The all-powerful blank, the blank held the power to bind souls, the blank death, the entitled, it's hard to make out. Okay. Oh man. Oh. That's just sad. Anyway, entry 402. I have uncovered a most interesting specimen from the warehouse. It was first recovered by my son. They're mentioning Emerald, who appeared in the Game Boy Advance game, Sonic Battle. Yeah, they're even going for the more obscure games in the Sonic canon. It was first recovered by my son, Blank, who became quite the archaeologist. I believe it to be some sort of puppet or robot made by an ancient people. Oh, all right. But first, I didn't think anything of it. But when I was experimenting on the Blank, it began to move. This suggests the possibility that even the ancient civilizations could harness the power of the Blank when I was researching various papers relating to the blank and this robot. I discovered that there was a possibility that this robot was something incredible. I'm getting some vibes from Sonic Frontiers from this. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this robot may be the cause of the destruction of the fourth great civilization. But I'm not sure I believe it just yet, though. Entry 407. I'm no longer able to ignore the possibility of the... Okay, this one's a bit difficult to read because part of the page is burned off. Entry 428. It has been a trying time, to say the least. Maria was diagnosed with neuroimmunodeficiency syndrome. There is no cure. Yet I pulled some strings and I had her brought aboard the Ark for treatment and assessment. The low-gravity environment should help keep her symptoms manageable. Her family has been less than enthusiastic with my decision. Despite everything, she remains the most positive person in the room. Most of the staff here left their families back on Earth, so I worried she'd feel lonely. Instead, she's become the adoptive daughter of every researcher on the Ark. Moreover, she's become like a big sister to little blank, but that's obviously Abraham, to little Abraham Tower, the military leader in his youthful days. The Ark's happy little accident over the past few years. The president keeps prompting me with his quest to unlock the mysteries of life. Perhaps with his funding and clout, I can find Mio to find what on earth does that word say? Okay, it's gonna be very difficult for you to make out. I'm sure people who've read this can also correct me on this. To cure Maria while chasing that shadow. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. All right. All right, now it's getting interesting. Entry 515. Maria has dropped all pretense and is demanding... Oh, wait. No, not Maria. Sorry. Sorry. Blank has... I think it's GUN. Yeah, that must be GUN. GUN has dropped all pretense and is demanding weapons research in exchange for continued funding. I promised the president I'd begin work on Project Shadow, but even he can't get them to back down. It appears I have a gun to my head in the matter. Oh. Years ago, I discovered rewards to an ancient god of destruction called Chaos. That's a Sonic Adventure 1 reference. It was said to command the fury and force of the ocean, or something of that effect. I've begun developing a basic AI-driven apparatus that can generate cohesion in water and produce controlled shapes for basic actions. And because of Sonic Frontiers, people can speculate that Chaos might be one of those aliens from Sonic Frontiers. I've told the top brass these can turn any body of water into an autonomous weapon. Deep down, I'm hoping it can be used as easily displayed search and rescue units. Imagine a flood turned back itself to aid those in the rubble. Entry 530. Research into Project Shadow is in full swing. The first steps have been learning how to what on earth does that word say? The Master Emerald energy and apply it to living tissue. To that end, or could it be Chaos Emerald? Oh, wait, maybe it's the Chaos Emerald energy. Chaos Emerald energy. It's another blank. I've developed the Chaos Drive. The Chaos Drives! They were in the Sonic Adventure series! Those are the things you collect to feed the Chow to make them grow in physical attributes. Oh, gosh. Is the government basically a shadow version of Sonic, basically? Them playing God. Building a shadow version of Sonic, basically them playing God. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, from what I can understand, and even from the insights I'm now learning, and from what I understood of the Sonic lore already, was that Shadow the Hedgehog was made to be the ultimate life form. There was another creature that was made as a prototype of the ultimate life form, I think the prototype was meant to be the ultimate life form. It was the Bio Lizard, the final boss of Sonic Adventure 2. But of course, being a feral animal, he lashed back, and that's what caused the GUN's attention to shut down the Ark and shoot everyone on board, including poor Maria. Yeah, I'd say you were pretty spot on there. Spot on. Anyway, the initial tests were promising. Anyway, direct application of the chaos drives to any organism that could directly interface with an emerald would be fearsome indeed. The initial tests were promising, but we're now moving on to the next stage in trials. I will be using salamanders for their regenerative abilities and manageable size. I think the biolizards, might be one big salamander. I think, or just one big lizard in general. Anyway, I think salamanders certainly built up to that point. So the regenerative ability, manageable size. We will begin applying chaos drives for the test subject and see how its vitals respond. And to keep Maria from breathing down my neck, I'm supplying them with chaos drives as batteries for the mechanized division. Wait, is it Maria? No. And to keep... No, it must be GUN, because that's another blank. And to keep GUN from breathing down my neck, I'm supplying them with chaos drives as batteries for their mechanized division. I loathe powering engines of war, but sacrifices have to be made if I'm to save Maria. I'll figure something out in the long run. I am a genius after all. Well, he clearly puts his pride in his work. Let's see, the next page. Oh, hello. Oh, Yeah, this is the point where the biolizard starts to bite back, if I remember correctly. Yes. Entry 568. Project Shadow has reached an impasse. The subject Schneider? What does that word say? Accelerated cellular growth to the point it cannot support its own biological systems. I've developed an external life support system to compensate, but it will need to be upgraded and redesigned as the subject continues to grow. The biolizard. The way it thrashes and roars, there's a scratched out word here, is uncontrollable. Furthermore, it is generating unexplained energetic. Is that meant to be an L or a T? Good grief, Robotnik. Work on your writing! Energetic reactions. Is this an expression of the blank power? I think Chaos Emerald power, probably, or not. Can a living thing produce such energy? Can it be controlled? Chaos control? There are far too many questions, and unfortunately the answers lie in this biolizard's life. I will keep it alive and as comfortable as I can until I have the answers I need. I found a region in the Ark that should be able to safely house it while we continue our experiments. I'm not sure what I would tell Maria. I do not want to lie to her, but I think the truth is too cruel. Entry 589. Maria is growing into a lovely young woman. It breaks my heart that someone as bright and energetic as her is diminished by disease. There are no visible effects, and I've caught my fellow researchers muttering to each other, doubting her illness. It is infuriating. I find all my research and restraint vanishing when she's slighted, and yet she remains an unending font of positivity. Even on her worst days, when the fear and the pain take hold, she tells me she endures for the day where she can return home. She has total faith in me and that Project Shadow will cure her. Her family back on Earth has no such faith. It's been so long. Some of my researchers actually think she was born here. Her family... right. Yeah. There we go. Clearing up a misconception among the fan base. Her family either wants her back or wants her home. I could do neither. Somehow their scorn is harsher than the government or the military's increasing pressure for more weapons research. Entry 660. Oh. 616. Entry 616. Is this Antichrist reference that they're sneaking in there? Because in some translations of scripture, it's not just the number 666. That's, the number of the beast. But in some translations, it's 616. But either way, people who take the mark would have deliberately used it to rebel against Christ. It's a deliberate sign of rebellion to indicate whose side you're on. Remember, there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ. So, interest. I just thought I'd make reference to that. It's just a keen observation. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but I am a desperate man. Now, see here. In the Shadow the Hedgehog game, it's explained that Black Doom was involved with the creation of Shadow the Hedgehog. Gerald Robotnik made a deal with Black Doom, clearly marked out in ink there. Black Doom agreed to provide some of his blood to contribute to the creation of Shadow, make him be the ultimate life form. Blood donation. So that's why Black Doom is going to be the central antagonist for this particular game for Shadow's story campaign. Anyway, the Black Comet returned to Earth on its 50-year orbit. I have no idea it actually harbored blank. Aboard it was blank. Somehow he knew about the blank and seemed impressed with my work. He offered me Faustian Gerald! Even you admitted it was a Faustian deal! What is wrong with you, mate? Look, it literally says the word Faustian. He knows he's basically making a deal with the symbolic devil. What is wrong with you, man? What is wrong with you? I accepted. Unlike his DNA, I was able to overcome every hurdle Project Shadow had put before me. The small, sturdy build I developed can perfectly interact with Blank energy. Blank wanted me to craft a herald for his future invasion. Black Doom wanted me to craft a herald for his future invasion. Blank wants Project Shadow to generate undying soldiers for them. I will play them both for fools. Entry 620. When I launched Project Shadow, initially I named it with scorn and mockery. I was trying to grab hold of an intangible goal. Later it sounded appropriately villainous, as I was toying with the fundamentals of life itself. But then, I think Blank looked upon the unfinished specimen. I think Maria. But then Maria looked at the unfinished specimen and put things into a whole new perspective.
A shadow tells you which way to go to find the light.
In an instant, she cut through all my pessimism and doubt and filled me with hope. She clearly knows her light source. Maria, as she's come... Shadow, as she's come to call him, will not be some dark creature, but a champion of life and hope. I would not have seen that if not for Maria. She is truly a remarkable person who can do great and wondrous things for the world. I must save her, no matter the costs. Entry 633. How many more are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, 8.5. Oh, 10. Okay, bear with me, guys. There's 10 more to go. Entry 633. I now understand why this being was named Gizoid. In the ancient tongue, it means everything. According to the stone tablet, if the Gizoid establishes a link with someone, the Gizoid will swear loyalty to that person. Perhaps it still likes blank energy, but it has been saying the word link to me in broken tones. It went on to explain, show me your true strength and I shall obey. I am all things and all shall belong to me. So as it suggested, I brought before it my collection of model guns and fired them all. Then suddenly it said, I shall follow your every command and never leave your side. And since then, it refuses to listen to anyone but me. While it still is a fearsome weapon of destruction, while it remains under my control, at least it won't be used for evil. However, if someone with evil intention ever forms a link with the Gizoid, I don't even want to think about what will happen. I must research how one can re-establish a link with the Gizoid. Entry 640. The upper echelon is going crazy. Perhaps they aim to freeze Project Shadow soon. The ultimate life form blank will be completed. The application to my granddaughter is also imminent. I cannot just let them stop my study at this project, because I am the only one who can save my granddaughter's life. Entry 642. The higher-ups are threatening to shut down this research facility. I had no choice but to hand them the Gizoid to buy some time for my research. I tried to be careful and commanded it to never absorb any dangerous technologies. However, I have heard that other researchers have been making the Gizoid absorb weapons. Apparently, the way to cause the Gizoid to form a new link is to show its power that surpasses that as its former master. While this poses immense danger, I cannot risk losing blank. I think it's Maria. Entry 650. The top brass still aren't satisfied. The Gizoid isn't big enough or flashy enough for them. Fine. I've developed a weapon I'm calling the blank. It taps directly into the Ark's central reactor to produce, it's referring to the Eclipse cannon, I think, to produce an unethical degree of firepower. It's basically like a Death Star. They'd love it. However, to use it on any target on Earth would destroy the world. They'll never be able to fire it. Checkmate. It will, however, be the perfect tool to deal with the blank when they return. Eclipse means shadow. This is the Eclipse cannon. My gift to him in a bottle he never asked for. I'm so sorry. Entry 651. Blank doesn't know the full scope of what blank has been designed for, but she, I think Maria's to Shadow, but she understands he will be under tremendous strain. She's helped me conceptualize a number of accessories that will help focus his power and aid in his mobility. Oh, did she? Oh, nice. I'm also researching chaos control to see if I can gain an understanding of it before blank awakens. Shadow awakens. The power to stop time and space is incredible. And I don't want him to have to try to learn its intricacies on his own. So that's the two of them together, and then she's coming up with the accessories. So she came up with the roller skate design. Nice. Deep down, I know this progress is superficial, tangible at best. The larger issues remain. Something the president, the blank, my family. I've gleaned there's a rift growing between my sons. My love for them shouldn't be a divisive issue. I'm running out of time. I never really delved much into his sons, did he? Until now. Entry 670. It has been a whirlwind of events as of late. Project Shadow is complete, and Shadow has awakened. I pre-programmed a great deal of data into his mind, but his ability to pause it out and apply it for his situation is remarkable. All of his vitals are strong, and there seems to be no signs of instability or mutation. He stands in stark contrast to the monster we have sealed below decks. So Shadow the Hedgehog awakens and befriends Maria. This is just adorable. But all success of the physical and mental prowess comes second to this. But all success of the physical and mental prowess comes second to his relationship to Maria. I had hoped they'd get along, but it's far hotter than that. That B looks like an H. But it's far better than that. She is his guide to the world, and he is her stalwart companion. Never have I seen such instant mutual friendship and trust between two beings. I am truly moved. They reminded me why I've been working so hard. They bring me home, back on Earth. Blank, I can't make up that word. Has been blessed with another little girl. They've already something. I can't read that word. They something, and she had none of the genetic markers linked to Maria's condition. While this has welcome news, the unspoken commentary I received loud and clear. I must save Maria. I must get my family back. Blank Shadow, you are the key to it all. Entry 670 question mark 706 question mark. My worst fears have come true. The Gizoid has absorbed enough weapons and technology that it has started to go out of control. The resulting rampage resulted in the destruction of most of the Ark. I have deciphered the rest of the stone tablet. It says when the Gizoid has bared all that it could, it becomes a god of wrath, and all was destroyed. The researchers somehow managed to subdue the Gizoid and sealed it away. Luckily, it only had one something installed. If it were to have all 7 Chaos Emeralds installed, it might destroy the whole planet. The Gizoid is too much of a liability. I tried destroying its cove, but nothing I did worked. I understand too little of the technology that built him. My best hope is to try and reprogram AI into a free-willed, emotion-based AI. Entry blank. I've lost track of the days. Not very scientific of me. I'm strained. Something. The Gizoid's rampage caused the artificial chaos to have something, I can't read that word, interrupted to regain network control by inventing the polarity of and then the pen gets rather smurred. They become violent. Something, I can't read that word, across the Ark, raced across the Ark, it says actually, pacifying them quite expertly, but the damage is done. An SOS way sent to GUN automatically. I dread the litigious reprimand to have to endure next. From here, there's a whole bunch of ominous scribbles and writings and trauma and stuff like that. Now this was one of his last entries that I remember some of this dialogue from Sonic Adventure 2, actually. There's a scene where Rouge the Bat manages to find an archival footage of Gerald's execution footage. And he says, I'm noticing some similar sounding words here. This is the last picture in the journal. I found Maria's name among those who died when the Ark was shut down. She meant everything to me, and I couldn't bear the thought that she died because of my research. I lost everything. I had nothing more to live for. I went insane. All I could think about was to avenge her. Somehow, some way. I got scared as I was no longer able to control my thoughts. All I could think about was that I wanted it all to end. Based on my original projections, I was able to complete my project, Shadow. I designed its mind to be perfect, pure. I will leave everything to him. If you wish, release and awaken it to the world. If you wish to fill the world with destruction. End of journal. That was Gerald Robotnik's speech in Sonic Adventure 2. You see, for those of you unfamiliar with the plot, what happened next, basically, this is when the incident happened. So basically, due to BioLizard going haywire, transmission was sent to GUN, and GUN was sent into stop the project and shoot everyone down because they were a danger to planet Earth. And very sadly, this led to Maria getting shot as well. In her dying breath, she let Shadow go in the pod, but somehow Shadow got found anyway and put in a cryogenic stasis. And then 50 years later, Dr. Eggman found this journal here, or something like that, I presume, and journeyed into the GUN base with a weaponized mech and unleashed Shadow from his cryogenic stasis. And then Shadow invites Eggman to get more Chaos Emeralds and get onto the Ark. Shadow's presence means that Sonic gets framed for something he didn't do, and Sonic is on the run from the government too. Rouge the Bat, who's a double agent for the government, teams up with Shadow and Robotnik to get more Chaos Emeralds, and to make a long story short, they get enough Chaos Emeralds for Eggman to display blowing up part of the moon, which would severely alter the gravity, but somehow that's never really addressed. And Sonic and his friends have to put a stop to Eggman's globe-threatening threat. Sonic and friends manage to receive the transmissions and get to the space colony Ark. Blah, 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 blah. Conflict. Eggman's most imposing moment yet. And then suddenly, when he puts all the Chaos Emeralds into the Eclipse Cannon, Eggman gets a transmission from his grandfather broadcast to all the planet. And in the fact that all 7 Chaos Emeralds wasn't just simply to activate the Eclipse Cannon, but to override the Ark itself, to go on a meteorific crash course to Earth, shattering it in the process. Similar to Ultron's motivations in Age of Ultron. So Shadow is willing to just let it all happen to avenge Maria, but Amy Rose comes in and convinces Shadow that humanity is worth living for, which causes Shadow to remember a memory that Maria actually wanted Shadow to protect humanity. So Shadow changes his mind and helps Sonic, Knuckles, and all the rest save the day instead. They confront the Bio-Lizard, and despite the Bio-Lizard's best intentions, to the point of teleporting itself outside the space colony Ark to drag the Ark on its crash course, Sonic and Shadow... Knuckles controls the Master Emerald, whilst Sonic and Shadow turn into their super forms to take out the Bio-Lizard, and then use Chaos Control teleportation to get the Ark back into space. And Shadow had to take off his power bracelets in order to get it done, but he sacrificed his life in the process, and he saved all humanity. So, for those of you unfamiliar with Shadow's character, he was so popular that Sega eventually brought him back in Sonic Heroes. And Sonic Heroes is so cheesy of a game that the moment Sonic encounters Shadow again in Sonic Heroes, he's saying, Shadow, long time no see. And another YouTuber I remember from years ago saying, oh, hi there, person who sacrificed his life to save all humanity. How are you doing? And then they get into a fight, because why not? It's such a cheesy game. But in the next game, at the end of Sonic Heroes, Eggman has been making all these Shadow clones, so Shadow doesn't even know if he's the genuine Shadow or not. Then the Shadow the Hedgehog game comes along, where Black Doom reveals himself with the Dark Comet coming along to invade Earth. And there's multiple endings of the game, but the canonical ending is the one where Shadow saves all humanity. So in the end, Shadow's not the one subjugating humanity. He fulfills his promise to Maria to protect all humanity. Then in Sonic 06, he encountered Mephiles the Dark, who further challenged his perceptions, but Shadow eventually accepts his past and moves on. And now you have this. The events of Shadow Generations coincides with the events of Sonic Generations. I mean, Shadow was not present during Sonic's birthday party until the end of the game, so now we get to find out what on earth Shadow was during the events of Sonic Generations. So there you go. I've dedicated almost a good hour just talking about the implications of the game. So now let's move on to the next topic. we are going to talk about a story which I like to coin The Woman Who Cried Victim. So, I'm just going to take a brief break because I want to get something just to highlight this. I'll just type in that The Woman Who Cried Victim. Feel free to give your insights about what you think so far, and I'll be right back. I'm going to get something. Bear with me, guys. All right, I'm back. So, now on to the next story. The Woman Who Cried Victim, aka the really dumb, wicked poster controversy. You guys are in for quite the story because this is one of those things that it should not be a controversy. But this person in question is just so idiotically narcissistic that it's led to this. And I have to talk about it because it's so insane. So here's the story. Many of you know that there's going to be a film adaptation coming out for the first act of Wicked. They're not promoting it as a part one, but from what I've heard, there's going to be 2 parts. There's going to be a Wicked Part 1 and a Wicked Part 2, which seems suitable because the original Broadway musical that it's based on would definitely has an Act 1 and an Act 2, so that kind of structure actually makes sense, and it would save the film from having a rushed pace. So people were looking forward to the concept of a Wicked movie musical adaptation. Certainly, The Wizard of Oz is one of the most beloved films ever made, and Wicked is one of the most beloved Broadway musicals of all time. Like, I remember way back in, was it 2016? Or I think it was somewhere around that time. It was my last year at high school, if I remember correctly. I actually went to see Wicked and even got this cap, Defy Gravity, at the time. So yeah, family have just loved the bigger than life kind of music, and all that stuff, as well as this the story about showing the Wicked Witch of the West in a sort of sympathetic life, but still not not ignoring the bad things she did to Dorothy. I think Wicked certainly made room for a lot of the probably had the unintended consequence, arguably, of having those really terrible girl boss type characters we see in modern Hollywood today, arguably. Although, to be fair, the story trope of showing a sympathetic light to villains would definitely harken back to John Milton's Paradise Lost. So the concept isn't anything new. It's just that Wicked, I guess, reinvented it in a way. I mean, people can point out some flaws and other things like that in the story, but nevertheless, Wicked became a beloved musical piece. But anyway, people were quite eager for this film adaptation. People would have hoped that Idina Menzel would have reprised her role that brought her such fame and glory. But they've cast someone else instead. What was her name again? I need to get this name right. Just bear with me. Movie star Cynthia Erivo. I think that was her name. What was it? Cynthia. Hold on a minute. Cynthia Erivo. Yes. This is the actress who is going to be playing Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, in the upcoming Wicked adaptation. She was also in, Cynthia Erivo, Oh yes, that's right. She was the Blue Fairy in in Disney's live-action adaptation of Pinocchio. That's right. That's right. She was also in Luther the Fallen Sun. She was in Harriet as Harriet Tubman. She was in Widows as Belle. Bad Times at the El Royale with Chris Hemsworth. She was Darlene Sweet. Let's see. Oh wait, whoa. Okay. Christian RPG Gamer says it's easier to blame everyone and everything else for all your problems and your lack of value than to make responsible make something great. Yup. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But for the rest of you at home, Oh man. Okay. This story is insane. It is insane. So, in order to set up just how insane it is, I might as well give the context for the marketing for Wicked Part 1 so far. So far, so good. There were a few red flags, admittedly. Just a few in regards to modern Hollywood adaptations. The casting of the main two characters, Elphaba and Glinda the Good, definitely raised a few eyebrows at first. But eventually people warmed up to them in time. It's just that Idina Menzel and what's her name from the original musical who went on to embarrassingly portray Maleficent in Descendants. The two of them are casting wise unmatched in that original Wicked stage play. So it's a hard act to follow. It's like, trying to replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I mean, Henry Cavill would be a good fit, to be fair. But the casting of Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba definitely raised a few eyebrows, especially concerning, the modern woke narrative, which uses victim mentality as a shield from legit criticism. But eventually people warmed up to Cynthia's potential adaptation of Cynthia's portrayal of Elphaba. And people were quite impressed with the practical effects of the promotion of Wicked. Jeff Goldblum, inspired choice to portray the Wizard of Oz. So the casting seemed... it took some warming up for people to get into, but judging by the trailers, this is not going to be exactly the same as the Wizard of Oz from, the classic film. This is going to be its own thing, so people began to warm up to the idea of Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. Hey, taking combat. People were warming up to Ariana Grande as Glinda. In fact, in hindsight, Ariana Grande seemed to be a very fitting choice for Glinda, given her sort of sugary, poppy kind of personality. It all seemed to be going very well. Although then there was this... Okay, brace yourselves. Here we go. Then there was this poster. Anyone who's familiar with Broadway will know that of that poster where Glinda is whispering something to Elphaba, and Elphaba has the rim of her hat down to her eyes, and she's sort of smirking like this. The sort of knowing smile with the red lipstick. So it's quite an intriguing poster. You got this minimal illustration, but then later you'd have this live action version with the actresses doing it. It was quite the inviting intrigue, as if there was a secret to be exposed, and it's inviting the audience in to find out more about this seemingly femme fatale villain. I can speak from authority. I have actually seen the Wicked musical in Broadway in New York years ago. So I know the story. The story goes is that the first act is basically sort of the origin story of Elphaba, or at least a new take on it, as well as the origin story of some other characters without giving too much away. although if you have seen Wicked, I could be happy to just spoil the whole thing. Basically, Elphaba, through no fault of her own, according to this story, was born with green skin, so she faced a lot of discrimination. So eventually, when she goes to the college called Shiz, yes, the college is called the Shiz. The place has animal teachers and other sort of people, but Elphaba notices that there seems to be a gradual disappearance of talking animals, which concerns Elphaba. Meanwhile, Elphaba is getting accommodated with Glinda, and the two of them have loathing, unadulterated loathing for your face, for your clothing. That song has one of the greatest introductory sequences. My roommate is Glinda, says, unusually, unpeculiar, quite hard to describe. Meanwhile, Elphaba gets straight to the point and goes, blonde. It's a really funny play. So it continues on like that. Relationships grow, and people's perceptions of other characters it change and stuff like that. College drama, so on and so forth. But Elphaba and Glinda show that they exceed in magic. So due to their talents, they are invited to the Emerald City to see the Wizard of Oz himself. But the Wizard of Oz reveals that he wants Elphaba to do this spell, and Elphaba manages to give wings to the monkeys. As it turns out, the Wizard of Oz has been taking animals for his own to be his own servants for his deeds. Elphaba doesn't like that, so she decides to rebel. Hence the whole spectacle of the defying gravity musical sequence. Now, keep in mind, I got this years ago, and this is a relic of what was it? It's gotten moldy, but it's been cleaned up recently. The second half of Wicked is basically the Wizard of Oz story, but mainly told from the perspective of Elphaba and some other characters. You never see Dorothy on screen or on stage, as it were, at least from what I remember. But you do see her home flying about in the tornado and other events like that. And to the show's credit, it doesn't hide the fact that Elphaba still did terrible things, such as compromising morality, as well as torturing a poor little girl who just wants to go back home to Texas. And looking back now, I do find one of the last songs questionable. That whole notion of, I can't say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I've been changed for good. I mean, there's questionable morality looking back on it now, but I still get what it was trying to do. But anyway, that's basically a brief plot summary of Wicked, just so you know. So the poster, going back to the poster, given the fact that they're promoting Wicked, of course they would have a poster paying homage to the classic Broadway poster, the one where Glinda whispers to Elphaba like this, and she's doing the smile, and then but the overall delivery of said poster seemed to pale in comparison to the actual thing. You see, Cynthia Erivo, with her portrayal of the witch, for some reason, she's not really expressing much with the picture. She's not really expressing confidence or anger or sadness. It's just a blank stare. So compared to the original Broadway poster, it seems boring. So there was some fan out there decided, you know what, I'm going to use Photoshop or whatever to adjust the poster so that it actually looks like what the original poster looked like. So he did that. He did a few bits of editing where Glinda's arm is more to her face, like in the original, because her arm structure seemed a bit weird in the film's poster. And Cynthia Erivo's Wicked Witch's mouth was customized with the red lipstick and the signature smirk from the poster, as well as having the shadow of the brim of her hat be have a much stronger prominence, so that you don't really see her eyes. like in the original, because as far as that kind of imagery goes, the lack of eyesight means the lack of sympathizing. In a sort of villainous context, that trope could also apply to any character that wears sunglasses, if you get what I mean. And so basically, it was a labor of love. It was a fan-made poster made to wish the crew member the best, saying, "Hey, I think I can approve of this poster." There we go. This was clearly made by people who were very clearly fans of the original Wicked show and wanted the best. Now, oh boy. So then this caught the attention of Cynthia Erivo, who saw the poster online, and oh boy, her response is embarrassing. It's so dumb. And the thing is, to save her the trouble, she could have done absolutely nothing, and she could have just responded by being nice and just wish the fan all the best for promoting the film, and that would have boosted the sales for the Wicked film, because she's reaching out to community and giving them a positive response, motivating them to see the film. But what she did has alienated probably most of her intended audience. And now, Cynthia Erivo is now one of the most disliked actresses, up there with Rachel Zegler. I mean, good grief. Are you guys ready for this? Okay. You need to sit down if you are standing up. This response from Cynthia Erivo is so dumb. It's incomprehensible how dumb this response is. Okay, here is Cynthia Erivo's official response to this fan-made poster made with a labor of love. And okay, here we go. And I quote, "This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question, is your censored green? None of this is funny. None of this is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera at you, the viewer, because without words we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and that is just deeply hurtful." I'm just gonna let that pause for a wee while. You need to really soak in just how stupendously dumb this is. Like, how? How can you be this stupid? This was made with a labor of love to the original poster. How can you be this stupid? What kind of sheltered lifestyle has this moron been living? Seriously, her ego is so fragile, thin ice has more strength than her fragile ego. Her ego is so fragile, it makes thin ice look like the weightlifting champion. She is dumb. This is dumb. Is she really that desperate to control and manipulate people with a victim mentality message? Really? She is that willing to scout out any possibility to manipulate and control people through victim mentality, that she's going to criticize something that was intended to endorse her work? Like, okay, let's break down just how stupid this is. Okay, this poster that's meant to pay homage to the original Broadway musical. This is the wildest, most offensive thing you have seen. This poster is the wildest, most offensive thing you've ever seen. This is the wildest, most offensive thing you've ever seen? Okay, lady, look. Sorry to get graphic, but I've heard someone else point out that there's people online, on YouTube, beheading other people in the name of dogma. There's, like, people out there using AI to make these sexually immoral people look as if these celebrities are doing dirty deeds. Like, there's people out there who are actually racist, doing actually terrible things. There are videos out there of, like, people saying legitimately offensive stuff, doing horrible acts. There's videos out there of people doing horrific acts of violence. There's all this horrible content. And this fan-made poster of one character whispering to another. This is the most offensive thing you've ever seen? This? Lady, you are probably the kind of person who gets offended by someone giving you a different flavor of ice cream for today. Like, what? She also said, equal to that awful AI of us fighting. What? Wouldn't the AI of the two of you fighting be more offensive than this? Equal to people posing the question, is your censored green? Huh? Right. None of this is funny, none of this is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. How does it degrade you? How does this poster degrade you? How? It's meant to endorse your work, not degrade you as a person. What? What? The original poster is an illustration. And the original poster also had a live-action actress rendition of it. Your critique does not hold water, you sheltered idiot. Good grief. She then said, I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words we communicate with our eyes. Oh, really? With the original poster that you made, you had a blank stare that says nothing. What is this meant to be? Are we meant to sympathize with you? Are you wondering about something? Like, what are you trying to communicate? If you're trying to be sympathetic, then give more of an innocent look, but you're not conveying much. I get that maybe the portrayal of the eyes is meant to indicate that she's more innocent than people perceive her to be. I grant you that, but the expression is a nothing burger. Like, what kind of expression is that meant to be? What are you expressing? Hope? Joy? Boredom? Like what is that? Christian RPG Gamer says, I don't know how to respond to this buffoon other than laugh, laugh, laugh. Yeah, now comes the part where we roll our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready! Right. She then says, our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face? What? Is an homage not an imitation? Isn't the homage imitating the original poster anyway? I don't think those words mean what you think it means, lady. She then says, to edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase...
she, I, 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 uh, I'm speechless. I'm almost speechless at just how stupid that is. If she was really, look, I get that eyes are meant to be the window to the soul. I grant you that, but this is the Wicked Witch of the West. The original poster was popular because you didn't see her eyes at first. You just saw the menacing grin to establish the fact that she's a villainous character. And plus, her entire face was not erased. You still had the bottom half to show actual expression. Look at the fan-made poster. It has actual expression with that smirk, that confident smirk. That has more expression than a blank stare. If you really want people to sympathize you by looking at your eyes, earn it. Give us an expression that's beyond just a blank expression. Good grief, who cast her in this role? It's not to hide my eyes, to raise me. They were supporting your work! They're trying to enhance your work, not degrade you as an individual! How is this deeply hurtful? How? There are people out there beheading other people. There's on the internet. There's people trying to make celebrities look as if they're doing dirty stuff online. There is actual hate speech and racist stuff online. And this poster is the most offensive thing you've seen? Lady, what kind of sheltered life have you been living up to this point? I hardly ever, I rarely call people morons, but this is one of those exceptions. Lady, you are a moron! You have been living a sheltered, sugar-coated, bubbly lifestyle your entire time. You have no experience of the real world. You have no authority on what is good quality or what isn't. You are the jester in the king's court. What authority, what life experience do you have outside of acting to justify this kind of critique? There are actors and actresses who have professions outside of their acting careers, who have legit things to say about this kind of stuff. You provide nothing. What is wrong with you? Ricky Gervais was spot on during the award show when he said, most of you, referring to Hollywood actors and actresses, most of you have spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Seriously, that is the response of a child. How can you be an adult and yet still be a child? Have you yet to go through puberty? Are you still going through puberty despite being a fully grown adult? What is going on with you? What's going on deep within the psychological mindset of this spoiled narcissist? What is happening to you? What's going on? Right. There. Rant over. That's the dumbest story. This is just one of those things where okay, rant continuing on for a little bit longer. This should not be a controversy, and yet it is. This was your chance to win people over to see your film, and you can't even get that right. Okay, rant done. Anyway, next story. There's only one blade. I've been hearing rumors that the upcoming supposedly upcoming Blade series from Disney Plus is either delayed even further or just outright cancelled. I'm hearing rumors, and I could be wrong. Okay, maybe it's not so much cancelled, but maybe it's either in a whole heap of trouble or it's just going to be outright cancelled. What was the name of the actor?
what's the guy's name? Hold on, just give me a moment. Blade. Hold on a minute. Blade, the character from Marvel Comics. Just hold on a minute. Film. Television. Where is that thing? Where is it? Ali, right. Ali, just give me a moment. Ali. Okay, where are you? Here we go. Mahershala Ali, right. Mahershala Ali has been cast as Blade in the MCU media franchise, debuting with an uncredited vocal cameo in the film Eternals, ahead of the character's upcoming standalone film. All right. Okay, right. Except rumors have been spreading that there's been a lot of misfire and trouble behind the scenes with getting the project started up. Not to mention, there's been rumors going around that there's going to be at least 4 other girl boss characters who get more screen time than the actual titular character of Blade himself. So that's going to be already sounds like a disaster. For a film called Blade, you're not going to be showing much of Blade. It's just like the Batman Cape Crusader show. For a show that's called Batman, you don't really show much of Batman. Our society's collapsing, entitlement, narcissism, out of control. Yeah. Basically, the victim mentality that used to threaten us during the pandemic years is not working anymore. Their tricks aren't working. More and more people are waking up to these delusions, this naive idealism, this naive Marxist idealism. People are waking up from that and realizing, okay, we need a better structure of life. And it's actually found in these traditions that have held up over the years. There's actually meaning in the past. People are recognizing. But anyway, back to the Blade film. So from what I'm hearing, it seems that the Blade project with Mahershala Ali, forgive me if I've mispronounced the name, it's either in trouble or it's going to be cancelled, which further reinstates Wesley Snipes' reappearance in Deadpool and Wolverine, saying, there's only one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade. And then Deadpool looked at the camera. Yeah, even Ryan Reynolds knows what's up. All right, that's the end of that story. Any thoughts on the Blade thing? Let me know. I suppose, speaking of Blade, there's going to be The Witcher getting sidelined in the Witcher TV show. Geralt got to the back, let other characters be the main in your own show. Yeah, that's the problem reoccurring again. We've seen it before, so we can already spot onto the red flags. For a show that's called The Witcher, you don't really see much of the actual Witcher character himself. Now, I grant you that in some sort of in some projects, like with the first Alien movie, we don't see much of the alien character. I grant you that, but the thing is, even though with well-written stories, we might not see much of a character, but the story still centers around that character, if you know what I mean. That's why with some villains like the Xenomorph or the Death Wolf from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or Johann Liebert from Naoki Urasawa's Monster, you can still feel the impact and weight of this villain's actions throughout the story because the story's revolving around them. Right, but with what we're talking about is the kind of stories where that kind of attention isn't even oriented towards the titular character that the show is supposedly advertising. This is about all these side characters that have lesser story arcs by comparison. I mean, this might have worked if they were written well, but they weren't. So I suppose speaking of well-written stories, my next topic is the one thing A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead does better than Alien Isolation. So if you've been keeping up with my channel, you'll know that I've been playing this cool video game called A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. I'm quite fond of the Quiet Place series. And I knew that the premise of a Quiet Place video game taking inspiration from Alien Isolation would work really well. However, upon release, I've noticed there are several people online critiquing the game for being quite inferior compared to Alien Isolation. There was some people come across some funny glitches, not like Star Wars Outlaws kind of awful glitchiness, but just the occasional like unintentional bug or unintended enemy interaction or enemies reoccurring where they shouldn't be, or some other funny shenanigans like that, and some questionable elements of the game design, which I pointed out in a previous live stream. But through it all, it's still an engaging game that incorporates sound design into the game because you're not meant to make loud noises. So I've noticed, however, there is one major thing that A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead actually does better than Alien Isolation, and that's the story. You see, a major critique I've heard about Alien Isolation, which I agree with, is that as much as the plot can be so right with the tone of the first film that people could happily consider it canon, and I would agree with that, the portrayal of the characters in Alien Isolation doesn't really grant for much time to actually build the characters. Characters just sort of meet each other, then just go straight to the mission, and there isn't really much development beyond Amanda Ripley trying to find the recording of her mum and that one mission with Samuels. The intro. That's pretty much it. Whereas in the first Alien movie, we got a dedicated several minutes, many minutes in the first film dedicated to character development. There's this really charming scene in the first film where Ellen Ripley is bantering with the two men, and they're teasing her and the fact that they can't hear her properly, but really they're just messing about with a steamy pipe the whole time. That was funny, as well as builds character dynamics. There's that one scene in Aliens where the android pulls off the knife party trick with the soldiers, musters begrudgment. That was a fun scene for character development. You don't really get that kind of thing in Alien Isolation, but you do get that character development in A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, because A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, unlike Alien Isolation, actually takes its time dedicating more overt scenes to character development. We dedicate scenes to having Alex be with the father of her baby. We get scenes dedicated to her relationship with her families in different contexts before and during the invasion of the Death Angels. I mean, sure, people will say, oh, but we know they're gonna die, because that's the trope of horror films. True. But at the same time, you could say the same thing for Alien Isolation. And A Quiet Place actually takes its time to build the characters so that their deaths are much more impactful. People will say, how on earth does Alex survive this kind of situation? She'd be dead in an instant. True, but from what I've seen of the game, she is a resourceful lass with her soundometer thing, which I doubt many people would have gained access to. And the fact that she has to be adaptable in order to survive. There is that going for it. Just the story of the struggle of this woman to get through the situation, no matter the cost, for her baby. And all these things incorporated. I actually say that the plot for A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead is actually superior to the plot of Alien Isolation. There's something to think about. Because you still have to dedicate time to build characters. You want to get people to care about the characters, you know? There's a curious observation that I've had. So another thing I wanted to say is count your provisions. In church today, we were learning about the necessity of provisions in light of the story of the feeding of the thousands with the fish and the loaves. Jesus provides in that it's important to count your provisions and to be grateful for them. And sometimes you'll be provided with the kind of things that you could never provide on your own terms, on your own efforts. But be on the lookout for provisions. They'll definitely make the difference in your life. I suppose whilst I'm still here, there is one last story I'd like to share with you. I should have put this on the title of this video, but I guess this is going to make for a pleasant surprise for some of you. You see, when I was in Glasgow recently, and this person I've encountered actually gave me permission to talk about this on a live stream. I encountered somebody who was a friend of someone I knew, and it turned out he was actually a film extra. Yes, he told me his name was Scotty, and that he is actually a film extra in several pieces of media. He's been in Game of Thrones. He's been in House of the Dragon. He said he was going to be a body double for Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. He had the build for it. And curiously enough, he told me that he was an extra in Marvel's Secret Invasion Disney Plus show. And he was an alien that got shot down by Samuel L. Jackson, as well as a refugee in another scene. So there you go. Scotty was an alien that got shot, that had the privilege to be shot by Samuel L. Jackson. And get this, even Scotty said in front of me that even he agrees with me that Secret Invasion sucked. That story was awful, and even he agreed, just questioning the prospect that the Skrull aliens could get all these superpowers just by touching other superheroes, which begs the question, why didn't they just do that with Captain Marvel, become so overpowered? What's not even the point of going in disguise at that point? Oh, man. So I actually managed to record the conversation, so I don't know if you'll hear this very well, but I'll let you take a listen.
Who's the guy that sang the second Iron Man? Mickey Rourke. So he's got a phone in his name. That was me. So I was off the you were a body double in Iron Man 2? No, I was off for the role. I couldn't do it. I was off for the role. So let me get this right. You were a double in Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. No, I was off for the job. So I was off for 4 months off the film. And it's like, I don't do it again. But I couldn't get the time off. Just didn't work out. But the ones I did do was the Secret Invasion. I'm also in the Traitors. You know, the Scottish one. The Treasures. Yeah, but what's it? What is Treasures? Traitors. Oh, yeah, I know the Traitors. Yes. So I'm in that. So I'm in the solo for that stuff. All right. So you know when you get the guys in the prison walk and stuff, that's what I want to do. All right. So I've done just stuff guys here. Secret Invasion, which wasn't really critically well received. Yeah, the shake. Oh, thank you. Someone else who actually knows, who actually admits it was shite. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Someone who actually admits that. I could be the way on the things on movies.
And the waitress came along, so then the conversation kept going, and eventually
At least you had the dignity of being shaken by Samuel L. Jackson himself. Salad. So, I see Steve shooting his mouth. So, if you were in Secret Invasion and were trying to get Napoleon but didn't? I was off for Napoleon. Right. And obviously they want to take people with military background. Right. They knew how to be involved themselves. Right. There's another one the Jason Statham one. Right. And the thing making the people was off. There's quite a few. I was off for so many roles. The best one is when you ask them with the body double for Mick was just going in the background. So what else did you watch? So that's me there. Oh wow.
Then he showed me the picture of him being an extra.
Oh wow. So like a scout show.
Okay.
So what else were you with? So I've done something else. I've done a lot. I haven't even heard of this. I've done 2 roles in Generations. So there's also I played RPG. RPG as well, right? And there's a couple of scenes as well. The US Bombs was on the ambulance and the Macritchie walked past and the river ambulance. Right. And then when there's one of the squirrels die, they do a ceremony when they put their hand in his chest. Oh, right. So the team have done that. So I think that's going to be the second season. Oh, right. Second season. There's going to be a second season. The plan was they've done a lot of the second season already. But the wait to see how successful the first season is, whether or not they're going to release it. Right. So they can do it. So basically, the fun of it, I think it's an hour's worth of stuff. And then we'll put out 10 hours worth of stuff and have loads of stuff there just in case. Right. And then when they go to the next season, right, they don't have to do as much of it. I mean, that does make sense, but all that hinges on a well-written story to keep it all going. Yeah. Unfortunately, Secret Invasion wasn't. A lot of plot holes and I think the big problem is literally how can the story choose anything? I don't have to expect somebody to get all their powers. And then obviously then they get that bad thing with them getting literally every small superhero's powers. They'll become more overpowered than Captain Marvel and all the others combined. What's even the point of doing anything at this point? All their problems can just be solved by just having these powers. Why didn't they do that with Captain Marvel in the first place? It's fun to do. It's fun to do. So there's a Scottish company called Productions. And they do oh yeah, I think I counted that on the way to Leicester, yes. So I'll show you that.
I mean, I might do the entire recording later, but it was a very fascinating conversation. So there you have it. An actual extra that I came across. Even he admitted that the Secret Invasion show of Marvel sucked. So there you go. Is this thing working? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Is this thing still working? Was this thing still working the whole time? Is this thing still working? Hold on a minute.
I suppose whilst I'm still here.
All right. Right. Okay, I was just testing if it was still working. Right. All right. So I guess if there's any other topics you guys want to talk about, so there you go. But an official recording of a conversation. I might just for the fun of it, like edit this voice recording that I got, and then use that to alter it and then put it online just to say, hey, I talked to an extra. I might do that, but assuming the audio output worked well in this live stream, you've heard it for yourself. An extra officially says that Secret Invasion was bad, really bad. So there you go. That's the enlightening story of the day. And I think that about wraps up all the news I wanted to talk about. So if anyone else has anything they want to say about the entertainment industry or just want to catch up with the things that really matter in life, feel free to say something in the live chat, or if this live stream ends before that happens, feel free to type something in the comment section below. I imagine some of you are going to type something in regarding the hysterical state of Cynthia Erivo. Good grief. I think Ariana Grande also mentioned something about the whole thing, and even her fellow cast and crew calling her out for her silliness. As well as I'm quite pleasantly pleased with the outcome of the recent short I made regarding the wild robot, the one we talked about, which pays homage to one of my favorite scenes in Iron Giant, which talks about the metaphysical reality of the soul, and how having feelings and having the ability to think and have free will and moral conscience cannot be physically measured. It's a transcendent plane of reality that is part of this infinite beauty. I love that scene for that. And I thought this fits the Wild Robot story so well. So I'm really pleased that my Wild Robot short got over 1K views. I'm really pleased. It's probably one of my proudest achievements, to be honest. Maybe there's someone else out there who's done that on the internet. I don't know, but I'm quite pleased with the results either way. Anyone else want to say something? Say something. I should probably get to work on that Rings of Power review and some other things. Suppose whilst I'm here, suppose I should probably get real for a moment. I'm very grateful to be reaching out to communities like this. I tell you, I was not in a mentally stable place years ago. But I find that healing comes by reaching out to different communities, building community, building a kingdom even. It's good to make new links, fulfill the Great Commission, eh? It's important to live your lives to the full, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It can be too easy to get carried away with some superficial stuff. Because it's too easy to give in to worries. Here's the reality, though. You're never going to be absolutely certain about anything in life. I know that's a harsh saying, but that needs to be said. You are never going to be absolutely certain about anything. Even the Apostle Paul, who saw the third heavens, even on his best day, says he sees through a glass dimly. If you're out there trying to ensure that you're trying to get everything just right, making sure everything's in control, well, good luck to you, buddy. It's never going to happen. It's a myth. Absolute control is a myth. So what's the solution? Take a step. No matter how scary it may be. Alarming, I know, right? But where facts and logic fails, experience and relationship takes on the rest of the gap. You got to be willing to take that step. How are you going to learn? Take a step. How can you heal through relationships? Take a step. Oh, but what if this doesn't work? What if this relationship doesn't work? What if I fail at this? Then you're going to learn. My days, do you learn? There is no failure amongst the brethren of Christ. Only learning. You've got to let that sink deep right here. But more importantly, right here. You can't get too caught up in here. Otherwise, not good. You got to open up to here. It'll help keep your mind away from anxiety and things like that. This may seem incomprehensible to you now, but believe me, you'll thank me later if you take that advice. Just doing this drawing, just whilst I'm here. Otherwise, I'll never have much time to do it. Wonder what next month's gonna entail. Well, let's take a step and find out. Together, eh? We're all in this together. Once we show where we stand, hand in hand, make our dreams come true. Uh-huh. 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 If you're going to the gym, I'd highly recommend getting a gym tutor. A gym tutor can push you to your limits beyond what you thought you were capable of. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. It's been humbling to learn that when it comes to creating art, it's best to engage with life and to confront the issues therein, and then let the art flow from there, not the other way around. Don't get too caught up in your creative and artistic endeavors. Otherwise, you're gonna get your focus away from other stuff that's necessary for proper character building. Cleaning your house, cleaning your dishes. You need to engage with life. Entertainment and art ought to enlighten you on how to engage with life, not as a pure escapism. I know people like Tolkien are fond of escapism, like getting out of prison. I get it. But at the same time, you still have to find inspiration to confront the issues of your life. That's what gives the art meaning in the first place. And if you find yourself struggling in this way, remember to take it easy on yourself. Give compassion to yourself. Show grace to yourself and others. I will confess something. Years ago, I thought the concept of forgiving yourself was narcissistic nonsense. But as it turns out, forgiving yourself can actually be really good for your mental health. It doesn't need to be a form of excuse. It can be a form of accountability. I mean, you wouldn't want to mistake humility with beating yourself up all the time, right? Nor would you want to give a false sense of humility that is actually a form of pride in disguise. You wouldn't want that. Things take time to perfect, even household chores. You need practice. Even the masters are still learning. You need to be willing to take time to do things if you're ever going to see actual improvement. What can you provide for the world? Some passion? Maybe if you don't consider yourself overtly standing out from the crowd. There's a great beauty in fulfilling mundane tasks, I've realized. Many people would think that such tasks are beneath them. But such tasks are necessary to uphold order in the first place. You know? Dedicate time to clean up your place. Dedicate time to train your body. Dedicate time to heal your soul. Show compassion towards yourself. Show compassion towards others. Stop beating yourself up. It's important to face your challenges head on than to sulk about things needing to improve. It can be a trap for people to get into, but one that can be overcome with grace. You do things not because you're afraid of getting punished. You do things not for the sake of flaunting. You ought to do things because you actually love people. You should be doing things because you're willing to live for something beyond yourself. Just as the Wild Robot says, go beyond your programming. And as My Hero Academia would say, plus ultra. All right. I think this live stream's gone on long enough. I'll probably be live streaming again to play more of The Quiet Place the road ahead. And, well, of course, I've got this to play later on once I complete the Quiet Place game. I'll try to avoid spoilers for the time being, but I think this campaign for Shadow will be pretty self-explanatory at this point. Then again, might be a few surprises in stall. Be open to surprise. All right. Go out there, train your body, your mind, and your spirit. Improve yourselves. This will be for the best. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, everybody. Feel free to share stuff around with people if you know people who could benefit from that kind of thing. And I'll look forward to more content in the future. See you all later. Hopefully soon tomorrow evening. Thank you for tuning in. ScotsThinker signing out.